From a money point of view, we've got the Lotus Elise here and the Porsche 911, the 997 Generation 1. These are both very similar value cars. Essentially, this is done about 88,000 miles, this is done about 60,000 miles. But, you know, I quite often get asked, you know, do I go away, buy myself a Lotus Elise, or do I go away and buy a Porsche 911? Essentially, if you want something really driver focused and you want that really hardcore experience of a sports car, then yes, it is the Lotus Elise. If you want something that is a fantastic sports car that handles well, drives well, it's got brilliant heritage, it's practical because you've got the space in the front boot, which I'll open up. They have a 2+2 layout, so you've got these 2 seats at the back, which may not be suitable for adults, but definitely they work extremely well if you've got children at the back. Now, from what they're like to drive, in terms of the weight, I think this is where we really need to begin. This weighs just under 1,400 kilograms. So it's precisely 1,395 kilograms. That's its curb weight. This weighs 1,141 kilograms. It's a much lighter car, but this is essentially a much lower car. You've got like these buckets seats set up, and essentially the best way to put it is this is a hardcore sports car, and this is so much more, you know, better when it comes to cornering, when it comes to essentially just accelerating, because it feels exhilarating, it feels absolutely amazing. I mean, it feels unlike any other sports cars you may have driven. And in terms of a hierarchy of cars, I've always told myself, you know, you either go away, buy like an old 60s, 70s kit car with a Triumph Vitesse engine, and I've got one, or a Morgan, essentially that is like a hardcore, really raw analog sort of a car. Then you go get yourself a Lotus, you know, whether it's a Series 1 or a Series 2. And then sports car wise, you know, then you might want to say, well, I want to go get myself a Porsche 911. This is where they are in the hierarchy of cars. Essentially, all these 3 cars, they're very, very different from characteristics point of view in terms of what they look and how they drive and what they're meant to give its owner. Again, the Lotus, I'm not taking anything away from the Lotus's heritage, because they did absolutely amazing in the F1 in the 70s. Essentially, from an aerodynamic point of view, you know, the Formula One Lotuses excelled and achieved and set heights which were unprecedented, especially going back to those days. And you know, they've got an absolute phenomenal heritage. I mean, obviously the Elise, from memory, they were first introduced either in 98 or 97. The Porsche 911 heritage, I don't need to speak too much about it, because you know, these cars have been around absolutely forever. Not much has changed, especially the fact that the engine is behind the rear axle, whereas this is a mid-engine sort of a layout. So you will expect a better handling from the Lotus Elise as opposed to the Porsche 911. Money-wise, both very similar money, but essentially it will have 2 different, you know, group of audiences. You know, the Lotus is going to be the hardcore sports fans that are going to want a very, very driver-focused car. The Porsche 911 is going to be, you know, somebody that is 60, 70, that is comfortably going to be able to get in and out of it, and essentially daily it. This takes a little bit more for you to think, well, I'm going to be dailying this. So you've got to really think to yourself and ask yourself, can I do this? But at the end of the day, this is an absolutely exquisite car. I mean, just the way the lines and the design and how elegant it is and how curvy it is. I mean, essentially, it just seems like a baby version of a Lamborghini Huracan, you know. But, you know, for a fraction of the price, at approximately, you know, £22,000, which is what this will get retailed at. Essentially, what do you buy? Do you buy the 911 or do you buy this? And a big factor here comes into the kind of prices. How do they, you know, you own this for 4 years, what is something like this worth versus this? Well, essentially the Porsches traditionally have always kept their values much better in relation to the Lotus Elise, but they've been going up in value. I mean, something like this you could have picked up 3-4 years ago for approximately £16,000 or even £15,000. Now they're comfortably in the mid 20 to 30,000 pounds. Similar could be said about the Porsche 911s, but you know, their prices always soften before they go up, and they've softened for the 997 quite some time ago, and they've been up on the rise for the past 4 or 5 years. Again, I've test driven this. You know, if you could just click somewhere in the YouTube channel, watch this video, and I'm going to be reviewing this and test driving this, which is an absolutely gorgeous of a car. I mean, this is something I bought to treat myself. And you know, you do get a little bit desensitized when you're surrounded by, as a Porsche specialist, by so many Porsches, you end up not appreciating them. So you've really got to sometimes buy a really hardcore car such as the Lotus Elise to genuinely appreciate it. So, well, thank you for, you know, watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe. You know, by watching these videos, the money goes towards a good cause. So, you know, you're helping us some way. So see you next time. Bye bye.